What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, Duel commenter. We have Nesh 1514. I believe Nesh is using Burning Abyss versus Dratwa 1430. I didn't see what Dratwa searched with Deneb. I assume it's Altier. It's a pretty safe assumption, to be honest. And Nesh just has a Speller Trap face down and a monster in defense mode. That could easily be Skarm or Rubik. Okay, so it's Graph. And alright. I don't particularly like attacking face down monsters when I'm playing against Burning Abyss. I'd rather you have them in defense mode because you can't summon any other monsters while your BA is face down. And if you flip summon, if you want to summon other monsters, you have to flip summon your BA. Your like, let's say it was a Skarm or a Rubik, and then if I interrupt your play, you have a monster sitting there in attack mode. Usually those monsters like Skarm and Rubik have very little attack, so I would rather just blissfully assume that it's one of those two monsters and not attack it. I mean, I guess there's a chance it could be something really weak like a Bluff, but more than likely it'll be like a Farfa or something. Something with 1800 defense or more. Or it'll be like a Graph where you don't care whether it dies in battle. So you see him summon Altair. And I want to know if he'll go on the Castle and just try and spin it. Okay, looks like that's exactly what he does. I saw a version of Tellarknights that was using like 3 Castels. I thought that was like, wow. It was running Satellars and he was running like a ton of Castels. I was like, holy crap. I mean, Castel is really good, don't get me wrong, but damn. I haven't actually tested out the Satellars Tellarknights, so I don't know if like, you know, multiple Castels is needed. And I'm starting to think like it may be. And maybe Rhapsody of Berserk might get dropped. So he predictably activates Call of the Haunted. Looks like he's going to go Altair and then obviously get Deneb and then search. From there, he'll probably get another copy of Altair. You know, I really hope Call of the Haunted doesn't get limited. I just feel like it's seeing so much play. Like that card gets you so many pluses when you play Tellarknights and like really just Tellarknights. Tellarknights, you activate Call of the Haunted and you go +2. Like that is so insane. Looks like he's gonna chain the MST so that he doesn't know, well, that he can't get Mind Crushed, obviously. That'd have been terrible if that was an MST, but then he probably figured if it was an MST, his opponent would have burned it on the Call of the Haunted. So he must have figured his MST was good, but not wanting to deal with Mind Crush. And I believe he did search another Altair. Oh, Nesh must be in horrible position. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if you're playing Burning Abyss and you literally just set monsters, you're in a bad position. Now, if you have Alpha Nova, you obviously burn it here. Because Nesh is committed to a face down monster, which means he can't special any other BAs. So if you have a way of stopping this, then I would. Like, I literally would want him not to be, yeah, exactly. Don't let the Dark Hole resolve. That's honestly, Dratwa shouldn't even have had to think about that. Even if you get Rageki'd, it's not even a big deal. Because the fact is, Nesh can't summon other monsters. That's the important part. He can't make Dante. Even if your board gets cleared, it doesn't matter. You still have Altair in your hand. If your board doesn't get cleared, you just make Trevor next turn and win. Yeah, Trevor gets the spin call. Yeah, now you can just make Trevor and win unless your opponent like Valors you or something. He should be able to get yet another Altair search. And see, it's like Tellarknights they were the Star Celeste before Star Celeste were Star Celeste. But then again, in the TCG, I think they came out at like the same time. So actually, I think the Star Celeste came out before Duels Alliance. You'll see him probably going to Trevor. It's the safer play. I mean, Deltaros would be good in this situation too, but Trevor gets you Call of the Haunted back, so Deltaros don't do that. Not to mention, you get a guaranteed pick out of your opponent's hand, even if you happen to hit, like Graft or Sir or something. It's not that big of a deal. Now he attacks first. That can go either way, but In this situation, I probably would have attacked first just in case I hit Farfa. I don't even know if he'll use Trevor's effect, honestly, because he'll probably go into Diamond. And if you're going to go into Diamond, then yeah, you probably don't want to use Trevor. Because the problem is, if you hit a Sir or a Graph, then your opponent gets to resolve it, and then your opponent can normal and go into Acid Golem and attack over you. But if you go straight into Diamond, there's literally, if they have monsters and they don't have like inherent removal, there's no way for them to get to Acid Golem. Because as soon as they try and special summon, you just negate. Just negate. So he is going to go for it. Hope it's not Farfa. Okay, so it's Serperus. Fair enough. I really don't think that changes anything, to be honest. I mean, that wasn't really that bad for Nesh, but I'm a little surprised that he has not gone into Diamond, because I'm pretty sure I would. I mean, if you're telling me your whole game plan is just to summon a monster and attack, I'm fine with that. But I think I'd go into Diamond regardless. I guess he feels like if he's going to blow my guy up, then why not just leave Trevor out here and Trevor can get the effect and you won't really make any headway. Alright, so he's going to special summon. That doesn't do anything. Oh, yeah, that's probably GG right there. I was thinking maybe a Majesty's Vanities might be able to bring him back, but that's really not going to do anything. So you might see a Call of the Hunted here. It really depends. I also have to wonder what Nesh's last card in hand is. It must be a monster. I definitely would use Trevor now, because even if it's like a Graph or a Sir, I'm going to force that motherfucker out. And then I'm going to attack, and I'm going to force it. I'm going to try and bait out all your effects. So you see he activates out here. Once again, getting Deneb. The cycle is never dead, right? Now, depending if you would have had Vega already, I would have said maybe an in-phase Call of the Haunted to get Max C, and then like make another Trevor and just spin it, but he can just go Abyss Dweller at this point, right? Alright, so he is going to go Abyss Dweller. He'll activate the effect, then he'll activate Trevor. Let's see what he hits. Hits another Serperus. Unfortunately for him, the one in the graveyard cannot activate. I think I'd definitely take out the Graph, yeah. I don't really care about Sir. He'll eat 2100. He still has that Call of the Haunted to get Altair. And Altair has already activated, but he can still attack. It's crazy. He actually has all three Altairs on the field at one time. I don't think I've actually seen that. Granted, the materials aren't on the field, but you guys know what I mean. Now, this is just Sertalar Knight systematic destruction of a deck. Like, I mean, it really all starts with the Call of the Haunted play into Trevor. Usually, once you get that going, you win most duels in Yu-Gi-Oh. But when you can make Abyss Dweller and you can just constantly, follow it up with pluses and pluses. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think that I like Nesh's Serperuses. I don't think it really works in Burning Abyss, personally. Just because, like, you saw when he, okay, it's level 3, don't get me wrong. But the fact of the matter is, what could you, like, you couldn't advance anything. Like, once you drew them, they were just sitting there in your hand dead. So we're going to game 3. I mean, you can make the counter argument, you can pitch them. You can say, okay, you can pitch them for Phoenix with Wind Blast and Karma Cup, but like, I don't know. I'd rather have Bojack. Like, that card is better to me because if you're running Burning Abyss and you have like maybe 15, 14, maybe 16 good traps, Bojack, you can just banish it from the graveyard. You can potentially just +1 by getting a trap and then setting it. And then you can plus even harder by hitting a Skarm or a Sir or a Graph. Like, I see that as a little better than just Serperus. Like, I don't think Burning Abyss lose because they don't have enough defensive cards. Not to mention, the deck already kind of loses hard to Abyss Dweller. I wouldn't want to make it like even worse. So Nesh is going first. If you're Dratwa, all you want is a max C. I used to think that Burning Abyss used to lose hard to turn 1 max C. I feel like they lose infinitely harder to turn 1 maxi because a lot of times to get their Dantes on board, they kind of have to start slow like this. They kind of have to start with like Sirs being special summoned and whatnot. Because you got to think if that Sir was countered with a maxi, he'd have to give him plus. He'd have to continue and commit to it. Otherwise, he'd just have a Sir on the field and like. The Neb potentially gets summoned, you go plus, you attack the Sir, and then the Burning Abyss player is just like in a really shitty position. So he just goes 1 card. Okay. And he must have just drawn like all monsters. Now I hope for him he left his MSTs in because Fire Lake is a fucking card you don't want to deal with during your first turn. As long as you're able to set up defensively, usually Teller Knights can beat Burning Abyss going second. You just have to obviously avoid Fire Lake of the Burning Abyss. Like, you just don't want to deal with that card. And that's why you need them MSTs. I mean, you can Dark Hole them, but I wouldn't. If you Dark Hole them, Fire Lake is still totally live. Same thing with Regeki. I'd rather, what's it called? Okay, so he activates Night Beam. Same thing as MST. Gets rid of Crush Card Virus. Ugh. I'd rather get Crush Carded than Fire Laked. Any day of the fucking week. Like, now that Crush Card has been errated, yeah, I'll much rather get Crush Carded than Fire Lake. Because if Fire Lake, you lose your traps and you lose your spells, and those are the cards that make you win. The traps are what pay the bills in Teller Knights. Those are the cards that get you like your wins. You know what I mean? Those are the ways you get the like end phase Call to Haunted, make Trevor win. You don't need your monsters necessarily to live. Hell, you don't even technically need your monsters to hit the field initially. Even if your shit gets Crush Carded in your hand, it's not that big of a deal because there's always Soul Charge and Call. All right, so it looks like we got a Vega and a Deneb play. This is really good for Dratwa, as obviously he can threaten. Well, Dweller would actually be the best play here. So he's met with TT. Not all. He'll lose all his monsters. It's really not that big of a deal. He has the Altair. For real, all he has to do is just play defense now. The fact that he didn't get Fire Laked, he didn't have a massive blowout card. Torrential was not a blowout card against Teller Knights because they do play the Call of the Haunted and all of that good stuff. Just in general. Okay, so wait, what? All right, yeah. So he's using his Sir, he's using his Graph, he's using his I believe he added a Graph to his hand. Yep. Okay. So he added a Graph to his hand, and obviously he has Tour Guide from the Underworld. Now it's going to be about, can Dratwa play defense for a turn? You know, you don't want to get blown out and take a whole bunch of damage. My man has 3 cards set, so we know what's in his hand, clearly being Altair. And for the most part, we know Nesh's hand too. We don't know the unknown card, but we know he has Graph and Tour Guide. It'd be terrible if he got hit with a Book of Moon right now. Actually, and that wouldn't be the worst thing ever, because he could just follow up with Tour Guide. So he goes 3, sees a Graph, a Nightmare, and a Solemn Warning. So he's going to activate Graph and Solemn Warning. A Torrential wouldn't be terrible against Nesh's field, because the thing is, while Nesh would still, like, he'd still be getting advantage, he'd be losing his Dantes. He'd be losing his field presence. And then at that point, he'd have to constantly special his dudes. So he's going for Rubik and now Skarm. I guess he's going to go for Virgil. This is where it pays to play Fiendish Chain. Or Book of Moon, either one. Bottomless Chapo also too. I guess just a whole ton of, a bunch of cards, honestly. So he pitches the graft, even though he's used it. And he's going to target Deneb. I honestly have never seen somebody try and spin something from the graveyard back to the deck. I didn't even know Virgil could do that, to be honest. And I have one sitting in my trade binder. Alright, that's met with Fiendish Chain, which kind of sucks if you're Nesh, because you did already spend a card on it and Breakthrough Skill, which sucks even worse. Alright, so he'll obviously eat a lot of battle damage. That's what, 6,000? The 6,000 is irrelevant if Dratwa can come back with a very strong play. If he can come back with, like, if he activates Call of the Haunted during the end phase, assuming his opponent doesn't have like an MST, he'll win. It doesn't even matter what's it called. It doesn't matter how much stuff that Nesh does. He'll literally come, like, that Trevor will literally bring him back into the game. He'll win off of it. That's how powerful Trevor is. The Phoenix, especially getting the Fiendish Chain bounced. What just happened there? Why did he gain 25? Did he not mill 3 for Deneb? I guess not. Okay, whatever. So during the end phase, he searches Farfa with what's it called? He searches Farfa with the Skarm. It's always so strange. I'm so used to seeing the deck search what's it called? I'm just so used to the deck constantly searching Tour Guide, and you realize once they search the first Tour Guide, as long as you can deal with it, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Alright, so I don't know what that face down could be. There's a decent chance it could be Alpha Nova. Now the question will be, if you can't go for a big rank 4, what will be the play here? Actually, I think the play is simple. I think the play is probably Ragnar 0. Yeah, I think the play is Ragnar 0, to be honest. That would be my guess. And actually, I don't know what Ragnar Zero's defense is off the top of my head. It might have to be Ragnar Zero in defense mode, actually. So he's going to attack the Tour Guide. Okay. Well, that kind of changes things. I guess Ragnar Zero on defense is no longer a play. Oh, okay. So it was Oasis of the Dragon Souls. And he goes for Vega, not activating the effect. And here comes Trevor. Trevor in defense mode. And I think Dratwa will win. It's going to activate the effect. Virgil's gone. He'll obviously resolve his Dante effect. But here's why the Dante effect won't matter. All he simply, I know that he has a Skarm in the graveyard. As long as he's able to use his brain and just go straight into Diamond, he can obviously negate the Skarm, and then it kind of becomes a moot. Yeah, like it kind of becomes irrelevant. And he still has his Oasis to get him pluses. I honestly feel like Trevor should be, like, if I'm just completely honest, I think Trevor should be a limited card, because the card has 3 different effects, and they're all good. I used to think that Trevor wasn't going to be that great because of the stats on it. Oh my god. I was like, why didn't they make him like 2,600? Oh my god. Trevor would have been the best Exceed ever released. Now Dratwa, now all Dratwa has to do is simply pretend that his monster is a vanilla and just keep attacking. Okay. So he finds himself a really good card. I didn't expect an instant out to Diamond, but I guess it really doesn't matter. He has Shadow Mirror. That might lock up the game. The question will be, does Dratwa, well, actually, I believe he still has an Altier in his hand. So I don't even think he has to use his Oasis. But honestly, he could just drop another Trevor, right? Most decks don't play 2 copies of, Diamond. I know I sure as hell wouldn't, but He still could easily, actually no, the better play here wouldn't be Trevor, it would be Deltaros. So let's see. He's going to activate Oasis. Then he's going to get Vega. Oh, check that. I totally forgot he can still attack with the Altier. He'll get his Deneb Search, which will get him another Altier. Systematic. This deck is so helmet. It doesn't really... Once you've played Tellar Knights for like a week, you've played the deck for a year. Alright. So yeah, I figured maybe he'll just attack. Now actually I think the play... I think the play is still... Well, he has Farf in his hand. So... Yeah, I think the play is still Trevor actually. Because it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if Farfa banishes your targets. Like, you have Oasis and you just constantly juggle it over and over and over and over again. I mean, personally, would I use Trevor right now just to get rid of the Farfa? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't care if my Trevor didn't have materials, because Oasis is going to pay me back anyway. Every time I activate Oasis, it's a +2. So, like, it doesn't really matter. Now, I guess Nesh is hoping that he'll just... Yeah, I think maybe Nesh was hoping that he would use Trevor without using Shadow Mirror. Unfortunately, he does have Shadow Mirror, and we know that, so... Maybe he has Cerberus. Which wouldn't even make any sense, because why wouldn't you just set the Cerberus? Nesh is going to chain. What's he chaining to? Chains Max C. The reason I asked what's he chaining to is because technically he can chain something like Cyclone. Yeah, I really don't understand why he chained, but okay. Not really sure what the holdup is. Yeah, Dratwa should be able to finish this duel out pretty convincingly. I mean, the only thing holding him back at this point is just the fact that Nesh still has a ton of life points, but it doesn't really matter. And once you play Tellar Knights, you are basically signing up to know that life points are irrelevant. This is not a deck that does a lot of big damage fast. This is a deck that makes, I mean, it wins the game off of control. You know, both of these players basically started out with, well, one player started out with 5 cards, the other player started out with 6, and now you see that Dratwa has damn near 11 cards and Nesh has 1. So you're just constantly seeing the cycling of Trevor, the easy pluses of cards like Deneb and Altier that never miss timing. They pay for themselves every time you summon them. Oasis and Call of the Haunted are +2s. Trevor's like a +50. So the only other XC I would even contemplate here is Daigusto Emerald, which would just be completely unnecessary. I would just make it for like, just to win even harder, to be honest. Because I'm thinking the only thing that could actually stop him here if I made Daigusto Emerald would be Rubik, because I think Rubik's defense is 21, right? Okay, so he goes into Diamond Direwolf. I'm still not 100% sold on that card, but I think I'm dropping Rhapsody of Berserk from my deck. Ooh, that was a tough break. It's not actually that bad, as he can obviously get the damage in from Trevor. Oh, okay, well, I guess he's just going to go Abyss Dweller then. What I was thinking is he could obviously get the damage in from Trevor, and if his opponent blew up Trevor, then he could just get Altier from the graveyard and can like attack with it. So it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. The Trevor would die, but it would be like so irrelevant. Now, it is cool that guy is an Earth, so if you get hit with Shadow Prisoning and Mirror, you have at least a couple of cards outside of Mathematician that work, you know? But, I mean, they pretty much all die to Soul Drain anyway, so. And believe me, I love Soul Drain. I just don't love that 1,000 life point, man. I wish Soul Drain was free. I mean, it should be free because it's limited, but I guess Konami obviously didn't know that they were making the card, that they were going to limit the card initially. Still kind of PO'd that it's like, I believe it's unlimited in Japan. I believe that, I know Macro and D-Fissure are both unlimited in Japan, so. Let's see what happens. We got an MST during the end phase. and it's a Fire Lake. That pretty much should end the game. All he has to do is activate Abyss Dweller, attack with Trevor, and then attack with Trevor, and that's enough battle damage to end the game. And looks like Nesh is conceding. Thank you guys for watching as always.